Hey, what's going on, guys? Dane Johnson here. I am with the founder of Natren Probiotics herself, Natasha Trenev. Natasha, thanks so much for joining me today.
It's my great pleasure, and they're going to learn a lot today.
You've been in the trenches and seen what is exactly needed, what's the real data behind the marketing and the schemes.
And I'm one of the old-fashioned people in the industry that came into the industry to serve humanity, not with a business plan. I really was just interested in making the best products that give value and transform people's lives every day. And I think we all want to get to that. And today I want to focus on this trend of eating raw fish, especially among young people. And it is so dangerous. I just want to persuade you that having a good probiotic strategy supplementation program absolutely helps. But, first let's talk about, what's in the water. Number one is mercury and radiation from Fukushima, Japan. Number two, there's at least 4 or 5 bacterial species that can contaminate raw fish at any one time. And one of them can actually cause instant paralysis. That's when you would really have a bad day. And since I work with one of the leading colorectal surgeons at Cedars-Sinai, he's frightened me into knowing that this bacteria that can cause the paralysis is now found in sushi, and that many young people, millennials especially, are coming into his offices with horrible intestinal bleeding and things that can really ruin your life because they're ignorant of this fact, and they don't know that raw means, yes, it's healthy in some ways, but it can also contain a number of bacteria that can really ruin your day and ruin your life.
Where can they lessen their dangers of raw fish? Is there certain types of restaurants that can have some kind of guarantee, like grade A food or organic wild caught? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's not even with organic, because I don't think you can get anything organic if you have radiation and mercury in the ocean. So forget that. What I'm saying is, even organic, I want people to understand, organic means it doesn't have pesticides, but consequently it has more bacteria in it just because it's organic. This is what people need to be taught, that, with raw, you take a chance. And, I grew up when Altadena Dairy was king, and I helped them many times with their hearings with the state on them selling raw milk, so I'm very familiar with that. Unfortunately, because we've changed the environment, the bacteria has changed, and so now it's airborne. So you can get many of these infections from drinking raw milk. And many young people are now getting diseases that we have not seen before. You get into your 70s or 80s. And so, chronic diseases. So you have to really equate, is it worth my getting possibly an autoimmune disease or ending up, paralyzed, to take this chance and not really investigate? Because just by looking at the rating of a restaurant, you don't know what's going on in their kitchen or where their source of supply is coming from. This is where the danger comes in. It's an unknown, and there's no way really to take care of that unknown. All I tell people, if you're going to go, make sure you take a healthy dose of the Natren Healthy Trinity or one of our Healthy Start system, at least to serve as some kind of protection for God knows what's going to be in that raw food that you're going to eat.
Well, why would I take a probiotic to help mitigate the issues of a parasite or raw fish? How do probiotics help defend our body against those types of risks?
Well, they sort of create a hostile environment, and it depends on how compromised your body is. Obviously, a parasite is 500 times bigger than a bacteria. So all it can do is create a hostile environment for that parasite to thrive. There's not much you can do against the worm. You can protect yourself against some of these bacteria that have now spread everywhere. We're getting even bacteria from hospitals going into the environment, meaning that they're on your cell phone, they're in the supermarket, they're on your steering wheel, so they're everywhere. So when you take extra doses of the probiotic, it's just a defense mechanism. It doesn't mean that, if you don't get a big enough load of something, either through your raw food or your environment, that you're going to be safe. But at least you're doing something to get some defense going, because it is a very changed environment, almost even from 10 years ago, let alone from 50 years ago.
And what is it about a probiotic that has the increased chance of defending against these types of things?
A good probiotic will lower the pH of the small and the low and the large intestine, and usually a low pH means it's a hostile environment for these bacteria that are even antibiotic resistant. And so remember, the objective of any bacteria, whether it's good or bad, is to thrive. And so if you create a hostile environment, it can't thrive. So it'll probably take the option to vacate your body because it's not a prime environment for it to thrive.
A probiotic is just like a seed. It's a colony-forming unit. It's not supposed to overwhelm your gut with massive amounts of bacteria to do the trick. And you can do high-dose probiotics, right? But it's actually just a seed. We want that seed to continue to flourish in the body. So having something that can live through the bile acid, can be stabilized within the gut and the large intestine, and is transparently made and we know it's living, is really important for us. So that's more important than taking a huge dose of God knows what you're taking.
No, well, first of all, let me just explain to you that 2 billion CFUs of a super strain that's properly grown and induced to do good work for you is much healthier because it will take the time to really affect your ecosystem. If you just throw in a bunch of bacteria that's been stressed, damaged, and can't cooperate with each other because they've been thrown together in one environment without separation, they're already hostile, they don't like each other, and you throw this bacteria into a system, God only knows what survives, and God only knows what's going to have an effect. So this is a very precise science. I can still say today that the Natren products are unique. Our selection of bacteria, our processing, our carriers are completely different. And in our society, where we have an explosion of gastrointestinal illness now with the rise of pancreatic cancer, we know there's something wrong with our GI tract. It's no longer a time where we can be seduced by marketing messages. It's not only what's published, it's who is the person that took time to research and formulate the product. You're ingesting a living microbe that has a ability to think and to socialize and to strategize how to best protect itself. And so you really have to know who's really interested in making sure that the product A is safe and number 2 is effective for you for whatever your case may be.
Last question for you, Natasha, is if someone out there is saying, great stuff, but sushi is one of the few things I do allow myself to eat, I'm not going to stop eating it, what would you recommend as an example dosage they could use of Natren Probiotics to help mitigate these issues?
I would say at least twice a day Natren Healthy Trinity and at least a couple of the teaspoons of the powdered probiotics in our Healthy Start system before they contemplate going to eat anything raw, including sushi.
What about like a digestive enzyme?
Let me just tell you my views on digestive enzymes. First of all, they're the same kind of problems with digestive enzymes as they are with probiotics and truth in labeling.
Okay.
And the really good enzymes cost a fortune because they all come out of Japan. And if you're going to use a digestive enzyme, I would suggest you don't use it with a probiotic, because especially if you have an enzyme like protease that's supposed to digest proteins, well, guess what bacteria are? They're mostly protein. So you're killing the bacteria. Yeah, and for instance, like our Digestalac product that has our Bulgaricus, that bacteria will actually pre-digest the food that you are ingesting. And that makes a big difference. But enzymes just help you to break it down, but this bacteria will actually digest it for itself because it wants to use it, and whatever is left over, you get to be the beneficiary because the food is now pre-digested for you.
Natasha, thank you so much for this. Guys, if you have any questions, post them below. We'll be happy to make you a video to answer some questions and keep guiding you towards health. Have a good day.